Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. Today, I am joined by another Twitch streamer who I have had the pleasure of getting to hang out in their Twitch streams, as well as being in a wonderful community alongside a number of different people. And I am hanging out with Rosie, or if you are on Twitch, you may know her as Roszipou. Welcome to the podcast, Rosie.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to have you. It has been a pleasure not only getting to know you through chat and a number of different streamers' chats as they stream, but getting to watch you stream.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm excited to have you. I want to make sure everybody knows about Rosie and your Twitch, and we're going to get to that later on in the podcast episode. But you actually have a fandom that I don't believe I've ever had in 4 years anyone talk about it. And I'm excited to have you talk about it, and that is Cardcaptor Sakura. How did you first get into Cardcaptor?
Yes, well, Cardcaptor really holds a special place in my heart because it is actually one of the shows that I was watching on television when I was a little baby Roszipou, alongside Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. Cardcaptor Sakura is a story about a girl who happens to find in a dad's library a book that contains the claw cards, and when she opens the book, the cards flew right off of her house, and then a little creature comes out of the book, and its name is Kerobero, and he is supposed to be like the guardian of the book, but he was taking a nap, so he let the cards out. And yeah, so that's the whole story. Sakura has to catch all the cards, and when she does, she needs to be the master, and she needs to transform them into a Sakura card. So that's the whole purpose, and I was really, really interested in that show when I was younger because I was watching other, TV shows like Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff. And it was never about a girl around my age. And now it was. And, I really got interested. And I stopped watching it, as I grew older. And when I was in high school, I was talking about it with like some of my friends. And we were talking about how this show really inspired us in like different ways. So I decided to rewatch it, and I just fell more in love with this series again.
I very vaguely, because I think when Cardcaptor was being released in at least the United States, it was after the time period of when I was into those like particular animes. Like I got into Pokemon and Sailor Moon, but like Cardcaptor came after a certain point in time, and I just so my only experience with Cardcaptor is through like the culture, like pop culture, because I speak with a lot of cosplayers, and a number of them have cosplayed as Cardcaptor or as Sakura in various different like dress designs. I guess she has a number of different outfits that she goes through.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my very limited exposure has been just seeing that. But one of the things is that I saw that it's now on Netflix.
Yes, it is. It is on Netflix, and it is on Netflix Canada since I think the 1st of June. So yeah, I think it is like one of the first time that people can actually watch Cardcaptor Sakura without being on a platform like Crunchyroll and all that kind of stuff. And I really do feel like Cardcaptor with the years kind of became like, I don't really know how to say it, but as much as important as Ceremon is, For me, I didn't have the chance to watch Sailor Moon because, unfortunately, as I live in Canada, Quebec, my first language is French, so I was only like immersive into a French cartoon shows, and unfortunately, Sailor Moon was only available on the English TV network, so I couldn't watch it. And either that, if I would ever watch it, I couldn't really understand it because it was a little bit too complicated for me at that time to understand. But it was aired around like the early 2000s, so if you are a little bit more older than that, I feel like you couldn't have the experience to experience this show actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely like there's definitely like that window of time of like when I talk with people of okay, they were into these anime, I know very close to like what age they were when they got into them.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me it is definitely like some of the older stuff that had been pushed through originally, like those first shows that came across.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was talking to somebody yesterday about stuff on a on Cartoon Network when they had their like anime block of time way back in the day, and I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly how old you are if you're talking about watching those when you were in middle school.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but I feel like maybe for my case, I could only watch shows that was airing in French.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and even with that, I get the shows a little bit later than everyone else in the world because of that. Because usually, from what I heard, like how translations and dubs work is that, for example, if it's an anime from Japan, it gets dubbed in English, and then for being dubbing in French, they actually dub it from the English version. So sometimes when in America they would censor a certain show to avoid, um, stuff that they don't want people to overreact it. Well, it's kind of like the same thing here. They follow this little censorship. The censorship that I can think of is in Sailor Moon. There is a lesbian couple, but in the show back in the days, they say that they are cousins instead.
Yes.
So that kind of stuff. So instead of like being dubbed based on like the actual Japanese TV show, it's actually dubbed based on the English version. So I would always get things a little bit later than everyone else. And when I talked to people about what they were watching when they were younger, I was like, but that show didn't air like not until I was in high school, but it was for middle school for them because they actually got the show before I did because of all this like translation and dubbing stuff.
Oh wow, I'm kind of shocked. I mean, I would think that they would just have like, if coming from Japan, you'd have like the English dub going on and then the French dub, but having to wait until the English dub was done and then having to do the French dub off of that is just agonizing.
Yeah, and actually, I may have a little story for like a dubbing experience because here in Canada, because one of the first language is English, and the only province that has French as their official language is Quebec. I actually didn't play the Pokemon games in French at all. I experienced the Pokemon games in English, and to promote the games in Quebec, instead of taking the French dub that was airing in France and in general, like French European language shows, instead of taking that dub, they made a special dub only for French Canadian because they knew that we won't we won't understand which Pokemon it is, and we will get confused because if we play the game, Bulbasaur is Bulbasaur. It's not Bulbizarre or another French word instead. So when I talk about the fact that I was watching Pokemon when I was younger, I feel like people would watch Pokemon when they were even younger, even though that we have the same age, if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because we actually had to wait for this special French Canadian dub to be ready so we can watch Pokemon on TV shows.
If you could see me right now,
Yeah.
my mouth would be like open and shocked about the specific French Canadian dub that you
Yeah.
had to wait even longer for.
Yeah, I think that I was about 8 or 9 years old when I was watching Pokemon on TV. And if I would talk with people around the same age as me, they were watching Pokemon when they were even younger, like in like kindergarten or something. I don't want to I don't want to speak in behalf of those people, but when I talk with them, I feel like they were like much more younger than me. I don't have like a particular example in head, but that's how it is when you are living in another country or province that its first language is not English. And because yeah, I think that I take like a long detour to explain what I wanted to explain. But because I didn't have this chance to experience Sailor Moon, for me, Cardcaptor Sakura was like the first TV show about a girl that kicks butt and she saves the day, because it was the only show that was airing in French at that time.
Well, see, they knew how to get the people that spoke French as they hook them
Yeah,
with only Cardcaptor Sakura.
exactly. And I actually learned recently that in English, it's not called Cardcaptor Sakura. It was called Cardcaptors. But for me, it was, of course, it was like a French translation of Cardcaptor Sakura, which is Sakura la chasseuse de cartes. But yeah, so sometimes I would talk about Cardcaptor Sakura and people would be like, yeah, but the name of the show was Cardcaptors. And I'm like, oh, I'm even more confused, please. Because now if you go watch Cardcaptor Sakura on Netflix, it is called Cardcaptor Sakura. And they just did a whole other dub. So it's not like the dub that you would like listen to when you were younger. So, oh my God, just to confuse people even more.
Now, for Cardcaptor Sakura, you had written me and you said it is your favorite show of all time. That, and now, does that include like every show you've ever seen? Is Cardcaptor still like the thing to beat, the show that you love the most?
It's sure that I am a little biased because this is the show that I've been watching since I was a little girl, you know. But even when I rewatch it today, you know, when you're sick, okay, you're sick, you just can't get out of the bed. Like you can even feed yourself, like to the point that you are sick, and then you decide to turn up the TV and you watch like a comforting TV shows or a comforting movie. Well, for me, the show that just makes me happy is Cardcaptor Sakura, and it just like cheers me up so much. And it may sound silly, it may sound like childish, a childish show, but yeah, it really talks about like subjects like intimidation, gaining confidence, believing in yourself, having like, it's okay if you don't have a lot of friends as long as you have the friends that loves you and supports you. All that kind of like sweet messages that you can have in like in those kind of TV shows. It's just nice and comforting and soothing, and I just feel good when I'm watching this. I recently watched for the first time Kiki's Delivery Service, which is another Studio Ghibli show, and I actually felt not exactly the same way because, like I said, I'm really, really biased on Cardcaptor Sakura, but it's kind of like the same vibe. If I would like compare Cardcaptor Sakura to another show, so for me, yes, I would say that Cardcaptor is my favorite anime and just TV show of all time.
That's awesome. I just have to say that I love Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh, well, you would love Cardcaptor Sakura, and especially if anyone's listening to this podcast as kids, I feel like this is like the best thing that you can do to your kids is like to watch this amazing TV show with them, because they talk about such great like values in life, and it's just like overly happy, and Kero is funny, Sakura is funny, and you know, it just brings happiness and a smile to your face.
Well, there you go. That's a great selling point for it right there.
Even my husband, when one day I was sick and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna like watch Cardcaptor Sakura again, all over again, like binge watch it, and he would have like the Japanese theme song stuck in his head, and he would sing with me even sometimes.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Even him, who is like really not into that kind of shows, he kind of enjoys it as well.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Now, out of curiosity, I know that Cardcaptor Sakura also has manga. Are you also in do you read the Cardcaptor manga, or is that not something that you were into?
Of course. I'm all over Cardcaptor Sakura. I actually has the French edition of Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm actually buying the special edition that they are redoing for the 20th anniversary of Cardcaptor Sakura. They are releasing like new mangas, so there's like a new story that they are writing to follow the story that was already written like about, I don't know, 20 years ago. So like there's a new series to read, and right now they actually released a first part of the anime on Crunchyroll, but I don't know when they will finish this new manga series. But yeah, I'm buying that as well. I'm all over Cardcaptor Sakura. Really,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing with me, and I see action figures that people are coming out with now from shows, and I'm like, dang, I wish I could get them, but they're very expensive.
Oh yeah, they're very, very expensive, but at least the manga, I don't know how much a manga costs in the United States, but here it's about like $12 Canadian, so it's not that much. And yeah, so I really recommend everyone to get the manga, the first series, and then to, if they like it, to go buy the following of the first series, which is called Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. Um, it's it's about Sakura being in, I think it was in high school or middle school. I don't remember, but it's still Sakura, and now our cards are disappearing, and they became transparent. So there's like a new evil person there. Yeah. And
Awesome.
I'm really into it. I really like this show. I mean, I actually have 2 tattoos on my chest, which is the 2 Cardcaptor Sakura keys that she has in the show. My cat is called Kero because I just love Kero too. So everything in my life is basically Cardcaptor Sakura.
That is awesome. I love like devotion to fandom like that. Like you're in it.
I'm really in it, like really a lot.
Now, one of the things that you're also into is video games.
Oh way, yes.
So on the flip side from Cardcaptor, you're into video games. What kind of video games do you prefer?
Like I told you a little bit earlier ago about like the Pokemon French Canadian dub. My first video game was Pokemon Yellow, because I also really, really like Pikachu when I was younger, and I still love Pikachu. And yeah, so I would say the Pokemon genre game, JRPGs. I also very much like Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons, and yeah, just like cheerful game and cute games in general.
Did you, out of curiosity, did you have to wait for a French translation for them?
Nope, because like I told you a little bit earlier ago, we didn't have French video game until they reinforced a law in Quebec, which is called the Law 101, which protects like the French language here in Quebec. They actually reinforced it some time ago, maybe like 10 years ago or something. And now video games company has to at least offer an option to have, like, you can choose a language and switch it to French, or if you can change the language in itself in the game, you need to sell the game, like a French version of the game, even if it's like the French European one. It has to be available in Quebec as well.
Okay.
So if I can give you like a reference, the first Pokemon game that I seen that was available in French was Pokemon Urgle and Pokemon Soul Silver. Those one I could buy them in French, but not before that. So it's basically one of the reasons why when I play video games, I am much more comfortable to play them in English, because that's what I'm used to. And also, I learn English of video games, so it's almost like going back home. I feel awkward when I'm playing a video game in French, as weird as it sounds.
Now you listed a bunch of wonderful games: Pokemon, Animal Crossing, the Harvest Moon. What, like, I know you said that they're like the cute games, but what draws you to them?
I don't know. I guess it's the animals, or I don't know, because when I was younger, one of the reasons why I got into Pokemon Yellow is because I was dreaming of having a in real life Pikachu. You know, I wish that Pokemon were real. I remember that one of like the wishes that I did on my birthday when I was really, really young. I wished so hard for Pokemon to be real. And I guess it's the animals. I just love animals so much. Like when I think about it, we can compare Pokemons to some kind of like a pet or something, a best friend. Same thing for Animal Crossing. And I guess I just like simulation games in general. And, you know, the animals are cute in Harvest Moon as well. So I feel like the thing that drives me into them at like the first sight would be like the cute art style, or like animals, or different kind of like collection or anything like that. And then of course, if it has cute animals but the game sucks, I won't play it. But it turns out that the games were good, the story and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. With your let's say with Pokemon, have you played like all the Pokemon since Pokemon Yellow?
Yes. I really, really passionate about Cardcaptor Sakura. My other big passion would be Pokemon. I think I at least tried every Pokemon game that was available to me, of course. And if one day I will be able to play one of those, like, I don't know, arcade games that are only available in Japan or whatnot, I would always try to play it. And after that, I'm going to make like an opinion on that. If I like it or not, I mean.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
So out of the bajillions of Pokemon that are out there, because I come from the time when there was, the 151,
Yeah, same.
and it cracked some people up because I also started off with Pokemon Yellow, and then the next game that I bought was Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I said, I don't know any of these Pokemon that I'm looking at. So
oh man, you skipped like 15 years of Pokemon. Just
pretty
right
much.
There.
Pretty much. So out of all the Pokemon, which Pokemon is your favorite?
Oh no. Why did you put myself into this? I don't know if I can answer this question because they're all cute. Yeah, I really don't know. Like, I plan to have like a Pokemon tattoo. I wanted to have like a half sleeve, and I was talking with like my tattoo artist, and I was like, I don't know which Pokemon I want, and she's like, oh, take your time. And that was 1 year ago and a half. So I still haven't made up my mind on which Pokemon I want forever on my skin. But I guess that the one that first came into my head are obviously Pikachu, Sandshrew, Cyndaquil and Quilava, Mareep, and Wooper and Quagsire. If I would like pick one Pokemon that has the best design of all time, I would say it's definitely Wooper and Quagsire. They're just like so cute and derpy. Like if you look at them and you don't smile, you just don't. I'm sorry, but you just don't have emotion or art or something. Like, how could you not look at it and say, "Oh my god, it's cute," or "Oh my god, it's derpy"? You know. I'm sorry if you don't like them, but please reconsider.
Listen, Rosie's going to go to war for Wooper and Quagsire.
Oh, heck yes. I will fight to death to protect them.
They must be protected at all costs.
Exactly.
I always made a joke that my favorite was Psyduck. Like Psyduck is my go-to Pokemon.
Psyduck is, I think it's a really cute Pokemon. And if you didn't know, Junichi Masuda, who is the music composer of Pokemon and now is like most of the time the producer of the series, his favorite Pokemon is Psyduck.
Yeah.
So according to him, I think you have great taste.
Wonderful. I have great taste in Pokemon.
Yes.
That's awesome. Now, I know that you've been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, or at least one of them. I'm not sure if it's Sword or Shield. What do you think about the game?
I think that they are on my top 5 of like Pokemon main game series. I think that the thing that I felt the most into it was the character development, mostly of Hop's character development, which is like your rival. And yeah, I'm just a big sucker for like stories and character development in general, and like how someone from this type of environment can literally evolve from it, grow from it, and become like his own person. And I feel like it's really the case with Hops, your rival, because they look so much into their big brother, which is like the league champion. So he kind of has this pressure to be as good as his brother, and he wants to follow his steps so much. He adores him, he idolizes him a lot, and he find out that he needs to change who he is so he can be stronger than his brother. But it comes to sense that no, he would be so much more happier if he would be himself. And it is in like at the end of of the main story game that he wants to be a Pokemon professor. So I really like this very, this character development that we had in this new generation. And I like the Pokemon in general, and I really like the wild area as well. And yeah, the events like the dance, the Game Freak really gives a reason to come back to the game, like at least once a month. And for me, that really made me not want to play the other version, because I actually got the dual pack when it was released. Because I tend to play Pokemon alone, so I would trade with myself. I would like play the games 2 times basically, so I can get like all the exclusive and like send it to one game. But this time, I really didn't feel the need to play the other version because of this reason. And I still haven't played Pokemon Sword since the game has been released. So I only played with Shield. With the community, I trade a bunch of Pokemon so I get the version exclusive and finish the Pokedex. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
The one thing that I love, because again, going back to like Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Sun and Moon, is I have realized in myself that I do not have enough time to sit down and play the game or grind it, essentially. So getting to watch people stream the game has been quite beneficial for me to just enjoy it by seeing other people play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. For me, Pokemon is like really, really important. I really need to play the game, not alone, but I need to be avoiding spoilers. So I think that on the weekend that it was released, I actually avoid Twitter and Twitch at all costs until I finished the game. And I was still in college, so it was kind of hard for me to finish the game. I think I finished it in like 2 or 3 weeks, and I did not sleep a lot in those 2 or 3 weeks, by the way. But I feel like it took like quite some time to finish like the main story. But again, I feel like it's the kind of game that you can take your time, but at the same time, you need like to not like take big pause between like the time that you play, because you can forget easily what you were about to do, what you want to make your Pokemon be, or what move you wanted to give them. Yeah, but it's really addictive as well. So I always end up playing the game a lot. And yeah, but I would totally see someone who like buys the game and still haven't finished it, because the more that you are making games, in my opinion, you need always to put more to please the fans. And yeah, I feel like it's a very, very, it's not as long as it was in Sun and Moon though. Like I was kind of like disappointed with Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, mostly because of like I don't know, like the 1.5 hour tutorial. Gosh darn it. It was so long. Like I love the games, but I wish that I could skip the tutorial. And I just wish that when they did Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they would just make a patch to, patch Sun and Moon that was like kind of a little bit broken. But instead they released like the same game instead of like having something different.
Right.
And I was about not to give up on Pokemon, but I was really disappointed. And it was the first time that I wouldn't take a time in my day to play a video game, because I was like so disappointed in those ones. And I wasn't disappointed because of like the story and such, but more about like the mechanics in general. And yeah. It's crazy to think that I was this close to give up on Pokemon if it wasn't from Sword and Shield and Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, which is kind of like mind blowing for me because it's been such a huge part of my life. So I was really, really scared when Sword and Shield got released because I was scared that it was about to be like another Sun and Moon. But I was expecting so little, but I got so much more from what I expected. And I'm really happy with what they did with the game. And with the DLC too. Like they had a little bit more content, and new legendaries, of course, and new features, and I feel like Game Freak know how to keep the game alive, even though it's been released for quite some time.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been seeing people play through some of the latest DLC, and I'm like, you've added like a whole nother section, and you've got some of the older Pokemon back in. You got some new Pokemon, and like I dig some of the wacky characters that they've got in there. It's interesting. It's definitely something where I'm enjoying getting to sit back and watch people play.
Yeah, it's really, really entertaining. I feel like it's fun to watch someone play Pokemon and even do something as boring as shiny hunting or like hatching eggs to get the shiny. Like it's not really, you don't do a lot. It's not really entertaining, but I enjoy watching streams that are shiny hunting because you can have a conversation with the streamer and yeah, it's basically like a just chatting stream, and at the same time someone is like playing their game very casually, and everyone is like off the edge of their seat to see that moment when the streamer is gonna hatch a shiny Pokemon. I feel like it was a very, very, like, I don't know who first thought of like streaming Pokemon or whatnot, but they had a very, very good idea because I like this kind of content. And that's actually how I got into Twitch. Actually, I wanted to watch a YouTuber named Renee, just Renee like that. And she used to be known as Renee Collects. And I really like her personality and stuff. And I wanted to, be entertained a little bit more because I watched all of her videos, and I got into her Twitch channel, and she was shiny hunting. And even though I thought that it was kind of boring, I stayed because she had such good conversation with people. And I feel like Pokemon is like a good casual game to be able to stream it, if it makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. And, you led right into talking about Twitch, and I was going to ask how you got started, and there you go.
Yay.
And I do have to agree, especially with the two games that you talked about with Animal Crossing and Pokemon, is that they lend themselves very well for on the streaming platform of being able to not just play the game, but because of how the play style is overall, you have that opportunity as a streamer to really talk with the people that are in your chat.
Exactly.
I mean, I've watched certain streamers where their character is on the screen for at least 30 minutes and they're not doing anything because they're talking
Yeah,
to chat,
exactly.
and you're engaged with what they're talking about.
Yeah, you're really into it. And yeah, I just like the casualties, like the chill vibes of those games. It can be Pokemon, it can be Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon. For me, a video game is like a place where you go to relax and just chill and have a good time, It's not supposed to be stressful or anything like this. Like my husband is really into action games. He needs a game that is gonna keep his interest, and okay, he has a quest, he needs to go there, he needs to go that. It has to be like action driven mostly. And there's me who's like, "Han, Camel Frog is wearing a frog shirt. Look at that!" And we totally have like different genre of games, and he watch a whole other type of streamers on Twitch, and I feel like the thing that I like about a lot about Twitch and the games that they choose to stream is that they allow themselves to relax and have people coming into like this room, and everyone can watch the same game, and we can all relax together and have a place to go that can be like all your friends hanging out and your family at some point.
Absolutely. Now, for you, how did you decide to make the jump from being just a viewer to deciding to be a Twitch streamer?
It's actually kind of like a funny story. I was really into Hyrule Gaming Group and Simply Press Start community, and I made some friends, and for me, I was just like a viewer. I guess uh, I was kind of interested to stream as well, but I didn't want to make the jump because I wanted to focus on college and all that stuff. But I always seen like an opportunity to stream on Twitch, because for me, the way that I see Twitch, if if you want to use this platform as an income, it's a big PR game. So for me, I was interested in Twitch because I wanted to use a platform to be able to stream what I make uh, as my art, as my comics. So I was waiting for the right moment to get into Twitch, maybe after college or whatnot. And it's actually some friends that I made over Simply Press Start community, which is Strawberry, Peppermoo, and other people. They actually said to me, if you were streaming, I would watch you because you are so funny. And I didn't really I didn't thought myself as a really big funny person or like entertaining enough so people would like come into a room and watch me. And then I talked to my husband about it, and he was so supportive, and he actually told me, "Yeah, you should be streaming. I don't know why you are not streaming." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm gonna buy a microphone and a webcam. I don't know." So I started streaming, and yeah, that's how I come into it.
How long have you been streaming for?
6 months. Really not a long time.
Okay. I mean, that's more months than somebody that has not decided to get into streaming yet.
Exactly.
On your Twitch stream, I know that you play Pokemon, and I know that you play Animal Crossing. Are those like your two key like cornerstones of your streaming? Are those two games, or do you like play some other games as well?
Actually, right now, as we are speaking, we are in the end of June. Right now, I'm having two schedule. My first schedule is like more of a morning schedule, so I stream in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I play Pokemon on Monday, and on Tuesday and Wednesday I don't play games, but I actually do some art. So I just stream whatever I'm working on, my personal projects, or even to catch up with my commissions. I decide to stream my commissions that I'm working on, and then on the evening schedule, on Thursday, I try to do some art as well to make it available for people over my time zone as well that can like come in the morning. And then after the Thursday, I usually play some games. And right now, I'm really into Pokemon and Animal Crossing. But we also have a new game incoming in 2 weeks, which is Story of Season, Friend of Mineral Town. And you bet that I'm going to stream it because it it's actually gonna be released 4 days after my birthday. So it's kind of like my birthday present.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned you do your Twitch stream, but you also stream your art, and that is one of the things that you do is you are also an artist.
Exactly.
Now, did you start off arting when you were young, or was it something that you gradually grew into, like in high school or beyond?
I like to say that, of course, I say that my first language is French, but deep inside of me, I know that my first language is drawing. I had a lot of difficulties when I was younger. I didn't speak until I was 4 years old. So one of my best ways to communicate with my parents was actually by drawing stuff. And I would draw before talking, which is kind of like, it's not weird for me, but when I would say that to people, it would be weird for them because you start talking before you start to hold a pen, right? It's kind of like the basic thing that you want to show your child first is talking. So I'm drawing since, I don't know. I like to say that I draw since 24 years old, which is my age. Okay, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 22 years old. Let's say that. I've been drawing my whole life. I've been drawing a tons of Pikachus. I've been drawing a ton of things. And for me, it was clear in my head that I will be an artist. I can't be anything else. If I don't do a drawing, if I don't do art in a day, I just don't feel comfortable. Drawing for me and doing art is as much important as it is to eat or go to sleep. And that's pretty much it. And I decided to go to college. It's kind of freaky here because here we have public college that is like mandatory to go to university. But I got used to say college when I'm talking about university because I feel like people got confused because I was saying university at first when I was streaming, and people were like, well, "Yeah, but why don't you say college?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but isn't it different?" And they were like, "No, everyone say college." And I'm like, "Okay, but there is a difference for me because we don't have like the same schooling system as you." So
Right.
yeah, so I decided to go to university in comic arts. I actually moved out from my little town to go to this particular university in Quebec that do a undergraduate in comics. And this is where I met my husband because we were in the same activity club, not related to comics. And yeah, so I actually have an undergraduate in comics art, which is kind of freaky because, you know, I have a paper that says that I can officially draw and write stories for comics, which is kind of cool.
That is very cool. Now, what type of, like, for now, like, are you do you do commissions? Are you working on projects that you're trying to publish? Like, what kind of art are you doing?
Right now, I am mostly working on my commercial. I'm sorry. I'm working on my commissions mostly because of what was happening in the world back in February, March with COVID-19. I actually had to switch what I do very, very quickly because one of my part-time job was actually to go give art classes to children like on lunch break and after school. So I lost my job all of a sudden, so I had to find a way to be able to eat, because drawing's cool, but to keep yourself alive, eating is also cool, you know.
Yes, it
so
is.
so I actually opened my commissions over Twitter, and I did a bunch of wonderful project with a lot of different streamers. I did emotes, I did badges, I did icons. I actually did all the icons, the portrait icons for Club Tortimer, which is a Twitch stream team on Twitch. Yeah, so I did a lot of commission work for a long time. And right now, as we are speaking, I'm trying like to not step away from the commissions, but I try to work a little bit more on what I'm doing. So right now, I'm actually working on a illustration project. I'm drawing Pokemon. Who is surprised here? But I'm drawing some Pokemons. But I also have a comic, a graphic novel in the work, that I, of course, had to step back a little bit because of everything that is happening, and yeah. So I have some stuff in the work. I do a lot of stuff at the same time, which is kind of cool. Plus Twitch streaming, which is kind of cool as well.
And that's really cool that not only are you doing your art, but you're able to stream it, as you said, to people so that way they can watch you do your art.
Exactly. And I have a lot of people coming into my stream that want to get into art. And that is the perfect moment to ask me tips, to ask me what software I'm using, what tricks that I'm doing with that software, because there's like multiple ways to do multiple things in a graphic design software, of course. So we are sharing tips. We are sometimes, well, not sometimes. I feel like in every stream, I have to stop and like show a demonstration to someone because they have a question, and I'm just like, I don't know how to explain you, so I'm just gonna open a new canvas and I'm going to describe to you what I do, and I'm going to try my best to tell you like why I am doing that and what are going to be the result at the end of that specific action. and and yeah, so it's really interesting for people, and even people who aren't into art, they have questions as well, like why are you, I don't know, why are you using a transparent color to erase? Well, because it's nice to have like the same brush all over, so you can, you know, erase at the same way that you did your colors, for example. And it's more fluid and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people come in and have questions, and we have so cool conversation about anything during those streams. And yeah, so for me, my art streams are a little bit like my just chatting streams while I am doing something that I need to work on. And people are curious about what I'm working on. They like secrets, they like all that kind of stuff. So it's been very, very helpful for me.
What's your favorite type of art to draw? Like what do you get the most enjoyment out of?
Doing the colors. I don't like putting down the flat colors as it as we speak in the industry. So it's basically like a basic color. For me, I just take like the bucket tool and I bucket everything. But after that, one of my favorite part is actually take different type of brushes, different type of layer mask, and tingle with everything to do like a rendering to make it like the drawing has, I don't know, a sun on the top left corner, and you can totally picture it because of the way that the shadow goes on the character. And yeah, so I would say totally like doing the colors, doing the rendering, the finalization part of my drawings. That's what I like the most to do.
And that is awesome. I always love seeing people do art because it's one of those things where I can't even draw a stick figure correctly, and getting to see just art be created is one of those neat things to just watch and see it all come together and be like, dang, I don't know how it happens, but there it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like sometimes people forget that art, and mostly drawings, is an optic illusion. It's not real. Like, when I'm drawing my characters, it's just like a bunch of lines together that, from your point of view, you see, I don't know, a girl with long hair with glasses, but technically it's just lines. And some people, they talk about like the left side and the right side of your brain, and some people can't do art for this reason because they have like a left brain, as we say. They can't like see, or they can't imagine themselves the optic illusion of making a drawing. But also, what I like to tell people is that I don't have talents. I've just been drawing my whole freaking life. Like, of course I get better with time because it's been, what did I say earlier, like 22 years old and I'm drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if at this point I have a talent because it's been so long. I just work hard, and I'm pretty sure that if you work hard too, you can make the awesomeness figure that you ever did in your whole life. If you work hard, you can do it. I'm a very believer of like, if you work from it, you're gonna get results. It might not be like a big result, but at least you can be proud of like what is going to be in the end, and like profit from it and have a positive attitude of it.
Well, there you go. I'm glad someone believes that I can do a better dang stick figure.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Well, Rosie, for the people who have listened to this episode and they want to watch you stream or check out your work or find you out there on the great wide internet, what are the best places for them to do so?
All right, so if you want to watch my streams, of course, you can go to twitch.tv/Roszipou. And my username is written ROSZIPOU. And you can also find me on Twitter at Roszipou, the same way that you spell my username. And on Instagram, it is actually ROSZ.BD. Because it is a bilingual account, and BD actually means comics in French. So you can find me on Instagram there. You can find me on Twitter with the @Roszipou, and on Twitch, of course, on twitch.tv/Roszipou. I also have a YouTube channel if you want to watch certain highlights or other videos I'm making. I got a video that I call 5 tips for making comics if you are interested. And it goes by the same username, Roszipou. So you can find me on YouTube as well. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will have all the links to those in the show notes, on the Facebook page, and on the website. So that way you can click on them and be taken to wherever you want to go across the internet to catch Rosie, either streaming games or art or checking out some of her videos. And Rosie, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do this with me today.
Well, thank you so much for coming to me and propose to me to come to your podcast, because like I said, it's been only 6 months of streaming, and I feel like we grow so much at the Pig Fam community, and it's just nice to get other people involved in the community to do things. And I really enjoy your podcast as well. So thank you so much for having me.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.